You were in Berlin in the early 60s and were witness to some historical events that many of us have only read about. Why were you there, and what were those events?
Actually, at the age of 19, I was given a call to be a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and originally called to the North German mission. But they established the Berlin mission in July of 1961, about 3 days after we arrived. And so I spent my entire 2.5 years in Berlin, the city of Berlin itself. And then just the following month in August, the wall was built, and we went through the Cuban Missile Crisis, John F. Kennedy's assassination, his famous Ich bin ein Berliner speech, and so on and so forth. So it was a very historic time, an extremely interesting time.
Your music choice today is a real slow drag from Joplin's opera Tremonisha. This is one of the most unusual picks I've ever seen on Friday Favorites. Why did you choose it?
My wife and I actually attended Tremonisha in Houston. The Houston Grand Opera is the one that actually brought the opera was originally written by Scott Joplin, but was never performed or in fact published. And the Houston Grand Opera were the very first ones to bring it out and perform it. And we happened to be able to get tickets to it, and it was a rage. It was an absolutely favorite thing in the Houston Grand Opera. And in fact, I think the only recording that I've ever seen is from the Houston Grand Opera. There may be others now, but I don't know. But Scott Joplin is interesting because most people see him primarily as a ragtime writer. They see him connected to The Sting, the musical, the movie The Sting, and see that side of him, but they don't realize that he wrote, quite frankly, a fairly serious piece of music called Tremonisha. And when you listen to Tremonisha, you can also recognize the fact that he actually had an appreciation for classical music, including opera, because I actually can hear some things from Rigoletto and 2 or 3 other operas that are phrases and so on that are very obvious from other operas that he introduced into Tremonisha. So it's an interesting study in that transition between popular ragtime music and actual classical opera. Now, Tremonisha came much, much earlier than Gershwin's Porgy and Bess, which is interesting. I have no idea if Gershwin knew Tremonisha, but to compare the two is also an interesting thing to do also. For Friday Favorites, I'm Brent Orr from Salt Lake City, Utah, and this is Real Slow Drag from Scott Joplin's ragtime opera Tremonisha.